everybody, Peter here from the Esoteric Order of Gamers. Welcome to another video about gaming stuff. Oh, I love games. I play them all the time, I think about them all the time, I'm totally obsessed. But it is a really fun hobby and there's so much to explore in the world of games. Today we're going to explore a tabletop miniatures game. It's brand new. It's by Warcradle, who are the makers of Dystopian Wars. Now, I've showed a lot of Dystopian Wars stuff on this channel. And by the way, Warcradle send me stuff for free to show to you, and that doesn't influence my opinion. My opinions are my own, and I don't charge for these videos. Now, this one is brand new. It's Armoured Clash. Here it is. It's epic scale land battles. So, Dystopian Wars is, of course, steampunk. It's set in the dystopian age, which is the setting for all their games, and it's a really good naval miniatures battle game. This one, however, we've moved to the land. It's a different scale. Obviously, it couldn't be the same scale as the ships because then the people would be teeny tiny people. So this is 10mm scale. So if you know the Legions Imperialis by Games Workshop, or there's an upcoming game by Mantic Games, which is also epic scale. Well, this is the steampunk one by Warcradle. Really excited about this. I'm a big fan of epic scale games. I just love the sense of, well, epic gaming that it brings to the tabletop. When you've got lots and lots of forces and tiny little troops and everything, and you have this sense of scale, it really brings everything out to a larger scale. And it can look spectacular, and there's a real feeling of epicness. There's that word again. So we're going to check out Armoured Clash. Now, this is the starter set. It's called the Battle of Singapore. It's a 2-player introductory set. And it is an introductory set. It doesn't have the full rules in it. It's got a stripped down version of the rules. You have to buy the rule book separately, which is a little bit annoying, but that's all right. You can buy it separately, but don't worry, it's also available for free download on the Warcradle website. So there's good and bad there. So let's see what you get in this set, shall we? Let's unwrap it. Now, this comes in the usual Warcradle format, which is the same black box. You know, it's not super strong, but it's okay. And then it comes with a wrap around the outside. I know they do this to sort of save money. It doesn't grab me. I don't like taking off these sleeve things. I just want a solid box and take off the lid. Anyway, I've said that over and over. I'm sure you're bored by now. I don't like these slip cases, but that's the way they choose to do their games. One other thing that I find a little bit strange just while we're here is that they just don't show off the games well on the back. This is just a black and white picture of the forces you get in the game. It's not exciting, it doesn't really fill you with excitement about the game. They should really show painted miniatures and a battle happening. They can list all the stuff you get, they can show the stuff you get, but they should do a bit more colour. It's just my opinion. They don't have to do that, of course, and they're not going to. So, let's see what you get inside the box! And as you can see, it's packed to the gunnels with stuff. We've got a map here. Now, this is the same kind of map we've seen in the Dystopian Wars set. So they've just kind of thrown this in. It's got a nice picture on one side, and it's got a map of the dystopian world. There it is. So this is set in the 19th century. It's sort of an alt-universe dystopian steampunk world where basically the world has been carved up into different factions who are all battling each other like mad. So we've got some information here about Armoured Clash, just a little ad. This shows you can go to the website armouredclash.com. You can get the rulebook, of course, and you can get the Orbats. Now, Orbats are Order of Battle, and they're the latest versions of the unit cards and all the information about the different factions. And they keep these online so they can keep updating and fixing them all the time. So you can download them from there. So we've got 2 sets of quick start rules. So this is kind of a nice thing to do. You get 2 little booklets so you can learn it at the same time. You can hand one of these over to your friend and keep one yourself and quickly start going through the rules. So let's have a little look. Now, I was quite impressed with the layout. They've sort of jazzed things up a bit from the Dystopian Wars. It looks a bit nicer, more colour, which is great to see, and nicer graphic design in general, I think. It's a little bit jazzed up. Now, as I said, this is a cut-down version of the rules. It doesn't say anything about the Command and Conquer cards, which are the version of the Victory and Valour cards that you have in Dystopian Wars. It doesn't even mention those. It keeps things relatively simple. So basically, it just goes through the basics of the game and then talks about the movement, the firing, the close combat, So you can give the game a go, but I don't think it really goes into great detail. So already you can see there's just moving a unit. You've got advance, double time, charge, ranged attacks there. They use these special dice. I'll show you those in a moment. Simple combat system, close quarters combat, and then you've got a little scenario to try out. Now there are more scenarios in the next book I'll show you, but this is a little training scenario, and that's it. Very, very quick. You could read this really and get into the game in 15 minutes. There's nothing particularly revolutionary happening rules-wise that I've read so far. I haven't read the full rule book yet, but I have just gone through the quick start rules. And there are no orders to place or anything like that. It's just movement, and, shooting and close combat. So straightforward rules. I imagine all the crunchy detail will be in the special abilities for the units themselves, judging by what's already happened with Dystopian Wars. So here we've got a campaign book, The Battle for Singapore, and this is where you can use your two forces. Now, I haven't checked, and this is something that I really have to check, and I'll let you know, whether this campaign uses just the forces in the box or if you have to get extra sets to do all the games, because that has happened in the past and it'll be interesting to see whether they've just used the ones in the set. So here's the stuff you get, and this is where the campaign begins, Battle for Singapore, and we get some background material about it, and then the scenarios start. So it starts off with just basics. There's not too many units. You can see there's just 4 units there. And then nice setup. So this is a good little sequence for a campaign. I'm looking forward to trying this campaign out. Should be interesting. Here are unit profiles for the stuff that you get in the box. Of course, this may be updated in the future with All Bats Online. And there are all the units you get, and here are the ones for the Empire. So you've got the Crown and the Empire in the set. The Crown is basically the British, and the Empire, which basically consists of China and Japan and that part of the world. So it's not historically accurate by any means. This is a sort of a very reductionist view of 19th century things going on. There's no detailed recreations of historical battles or anything here. It's all very much a dystopian fantasy kind of world. So there are our forces. Now if you look at these unit cards, you can see some information. We've got the name there, number of models in the unit. These are the attributes: speed, defense, damage limit and discipline. And then over here we have a number of armaments, ranged, melee. We've got traits and then special rules. So there's not too many special rules on these. They're pretty straightforward. I'm getting the impression, just from what I've read so far, that this is a much more sort of fast-playing, straightforward system without the really heavy crunch that Dystopian Wars has, which is fine by me. Let's have a look at the models. So, as I said, we have these custom dice, and they have various symbols on them. One of them is an explode symbol, so you can roll this one again, but you can only roll it again once. And there are also some interesting rules, like you've got a miss here, and this symbol here, you can actually re-roll those if you're in short range, if you're doing shooting. So little few tricks on the dice and the dice system. I'll go into the rules in more detail when I've read the full rule book, and I can tell you all about it. Then we have 2 big hunks of shrink wrap miniatures. Check that out. That's pretty cool, isn't it? Check all that out. I'll have a look at those in a moment. And then in the bottom, we've got, wow, 4 sets of markers. So generous amount of markers there. These are your wound markers on this side, and there's various different states. Yeah, 4 sets of those, so plenty of markers, and they're nice and thick and high quality. I'm very happy to see. That's good. Let's check out the miniatures. So if you look at the back of the box, you can see there's a pretty impressive amount of miniatures here. 2 decent sized little armies to get started with. Again, this is an introductory set, so this is enough to get you started with a Crown army, which is this one here, or the Empire, and the Empire army, which is here. Now, in the other battle group sets you can get separately, you'll also get large resin figures as well, which are kind of like land war wagons, big tanks and things like that. There's nothing like that here, sadly. It would have been nice to see one big resin model, I think, at each side, but, you know, this is reasons of cost, of course. The other thing I found a bit funny was the fact that they've put in a bit of dystopian industrial terrain. And I'll show you that because I've got some painted samples of that. And they've gone, oh, it's a bonus content. Well, it's not a bonus content. This is printed on the box. This is not some special sticker for the first 200 sets or something. I just thought that was a bit disingenuous. It's part of what you get in the set, and I'm sure it's priced accordingly. So calling it a bonus I thought was a bit silly. But never mind, let's get back to the miniatures. And there's some nice stuff here. I haven't built this yet, of course. I'm just opening the set for the first time. So I will show you the built stuff in a future video. But in the meantime, here are the sprues. These are the ones that you get for the crown. And there are 4 sprues of crown ones there. There's 2 of each type. So the detail looks good. Let's have a close-up look. That's the little side of a tank there. Here are the figures. Let's see how close we can get on them. As you can see, they're a bit bigger than the sort of 6mm scale of Legions Imperialis by Games Workshop. These are a bit larger than that. And it's very difficult to do people at this scale, I must say. And these are pretty good. They've got a slight, I don't know, but the proportions, yeah, they look pretty good. In some of them, they just looked a little bit squashed, a little bit cartoony, but on the whole, I think they're going to look fantastic. And of course, you're not looking at them this closely when you're playing the game. They're going to. The whole good thing about Epic games is that it's definitely looking from a distance kind of spectacle. When you see everything massed together, there's going to be at least probably 4 of these on each base. Painting them is going to be challenging. What I'm going to try and do as much as possible is leave them on the sprue and paint them on the sprue. So in a case like this, if I just remove this nub here and keep this one, I can paint it and then I don't have to worry because these are attached by the base. And that's sort of the plan, because actually taking them off and painting them individually can be a little bit of a nightmare. So that's that sprue. And then we've got this one. Again, some more tank sides there. There's going to be lots of tanks. I'm excited to see there's going to be aircraft as well. We've got some cybernetic or robot cavalry here, which is a lot of fun. Some robot horses. Again, hard to see just from the sprue, but I will build this up and show you when they're all built. We've got, what have we got there? Oh, there's sort of some walkers as well, some guys with strapped into walkers, which is pretty cool. So there's the other sprue. So that's the crown, and here is the Empire. Again, 4 sprues, 2 different types. So in here, well, there's a lot of different infantry types. We've got some, both sides have got some flyers, jetpacks and everything. These are like terracotta warriors, so some large terracotta warriors. That's a pretty cool idea. Let's have a look at those infantry. Yeah, I think they look pretty good. I mean, there's an amazing level of detail here, I've got to say. It's impressive at this scale to have that level of detail, and it's a bit daunting to paint, really. In fact, some of these ones have separate shields, so you're actually putting on a separate shield. Here they are here, tiny little shields will be going on some of these infantrymen. So wow, lots to do there. Now, one thing that it also comes with is lots of flags, because, well, not lots, but quite a few flags, because each unit has got to have an officer model, and you can mark that with a flag, or in fact an infantry figure that's carrying a flag. The other thing that this set comes with, however, is replacement resin commanders, so you can use these to set up your commander model. So this guy is the Crown Commander, and he's sort of this strange beast guy sitting in a motorcycle, tricycle thing. It's very weird. And another guy there. Is that a drummer? I can't see with my eyesight actually through the viewfinder. It's so tiny. But that's pretty cool in resin. And then for the Empire, here's the Empire. There's our commander here, and a little backup figure. So that gives a bit of character to your command models. Oh, back to the Empire. We've got a second sprue here. They have these big kind of round tanky things, which are kind of cool. As you can see, lots of tiny little pieces. So it's going to be interesting. I think, as I said, I'll keep all the infantry on the sprue like that and paint it there, but all the tanks, of course, I'll make up and paint those separately. Now, there are lots of sprues of our bases. Now, I'm happy to see they come with a bit of texturing, which is really nice. The models themselves, do they have texturing on the base? That's interesting. I don't think they do, but that's all right. So you probably want to put a little bit more texture over when you put the figures into the base. I don't know. They're challenges I will address when I start putting these two together. They're quite chunky little bases. There's a sample of your flag there, which you can stick in some of these bases. And there's a dot for putting the flag in this particular. So you'd use this one as a commander or an officer unit. Interesting that they're not equally spaced on the board, on the base, so there's probably a reason for that. So you can stick your flag in there, and that's your officer. So you get a whole chunk of those, of course. Epic gaming is always quite daunting. There's so much to do with all those little tiny figures, but it does look amazing in the end. Now we've got 4 sprues of the dystopian industrial terrain, of course, and I've built this stuff before. It's really good and it's very modular. You get 2 of these sprues like so, and you get 2 of these. It takes a little while to build because it has all these little corner and roof pieces and everything, but it looks great. And here's an example of what it looks like built and painted. So it comes out really well for epic scale. It's fantastic. In fact, you can use this terrain for any epic scale games. This isn't indicative of what you get in the set, of course. These are just 2 pieces that I've built before and painted. But I think you can certainly build this bit and maybe a smaller version of this if following the back photo as any guide. I'm not exactly sure how much you can build with those sprues, but as you can see, it looks great. And you can buy the stuff separately as well if you want more of these buildings, which I'm sure you will. And you can build them in all different configurations. Finally, we've got these 2 sprues, which are nice additions. You've got 2 turn templates there. You use these for figures that are more ponderous and move more slowly. You've also got a really nice little turn marker thing. And this, I haven't seen the other piece. There's a little piece there, and there's probably a little base, and it's actually something that you can turn on a base. I don't know where the base is though. It's in here somewhere. But this thing is actually great because not only can you use it as a turn marker in this game, but in any game. You've got this nice big objective markers made of plastic. There's 4 of those. Well, there's 8 of those, of course. Yeah, so there's that. And then this is a 4-piece range ruler. So this all attaches together and can make a sort of, concertina thing, range ruler thing. So nice to see that. So there you go, that's what the sprues look like. I will do another video in future showing them to you all built, and they're all built up so you can see what they look like on the tabletop. And of course, then I've got to get into painting them. Now, unfortunately, they don't show you any pictures of them painted, and I've been saying for ages that Warcradle really should do a full colour back of box for these boxes. Show them painted, show off the game. I mean, lots of other game companies, including Games Workshop, do this. They show the figures in action, painted, and it's really inspiring. I just don't find this as inspiring. Yes, it clearly shows you what you get, which is great, but inspire people and show the game in action. Have them painted, good photography, all that kind of thing. That's my recommendation. And those painted pictures are for some units. You can find them online, especially on the Wayland Games website, but they're not all shown. They haven't painted all the miniatures yet. So I'd really like to see more reference images for painted images so I don't have to come up with colour schemes myself, because I don't have the time to do that. I just like to follow official colour schemes. And especially with something so detailed with these tiny little miniatures, you really need a painting guide. Now I've got a couple of extras with this as well. These don't come in the starter set. As I said, here's the rule book and you can get this separately. I won't go into detail yet, but it's nicely laid out, has a lot of background information and a lot of background fluff about the setting. Aircraft as well are going to be involved as well, that's good, and lots more detail in the rules. When I get a chance to go through that, I'll tell you all about it. This is just a basic unboxing, a basic overview. And then I got the Command and Conquest deck. Unfortunately, they only sent me 1. I'm hoping to get another one so I can, because you've got to have 1 each. Each general, which is the player, has 1 of these. It's a 60 card deck. Very similar to the Victory and Valour cards, as I said, in Dystopian Wars. One thing that does frustrate me about this is that they've kept the same system here of having one of the sets of rules like that, and then you have to spin the card to see the other set of rules. You have two options there, but you have to spin the card every time. I find this unutterably annoying during a game because I'm reading it and then I spin it around like that. If I could just see it all at a glance. And also, I think they could be summarized a bit better so they're shorter. Perhaps use some icons, something like that. They're kind of slabs of text. And I find during a game of Dystopian Wars, this is the only thing that really, there are lots of special abilities in Dystopian Wars which can slow you down a bit, but these cards tend to slow me down because I have to keep reading them. There's so much to read, and a lot of it is quite repetitive. For example, it says here, play this card in the reaction step of your opponent's turn. We could have an icon that tells us that, bang, just like that, at a visual glance. And I just am really frustrated by this flipping thing. I can see they think it's a good idea, but during the game I find it frustrating. Anyway, maybe one day they'll fix that. I hope they do. But it's a nice looking deck of cards, and as I said, you need one of those for each general. Well, folks, Armoured Clash. I'm very excited about this. As I said, epic scale. I love epic scale, and when it's mixed with steampunk, dystopian stuff, I'm a very happy man. So I want to paint these figures, show you what they look like, show you this game in action. I'm going to be covering a lot of Armoured Clash, hopefully, if they keep sending me stuff so I can show it to you. And we'll check out this game and see how it plays. So stay in touch for future videos on Armoured Clash by Warcradle Studios. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. Don't forget to check out Tabletop Codex, my fantastic rulebook app. Eventually, of course, the rules for Armoured Clash will be in it, so you'll be able to access them really easy with my amazing app. And trust me, give it a go. Try out the sample rule summaries in there. You'll be amazed how easy it is to learn games and especially to reference them during a game. I will see you next time. Bye for now, and good gaming, everybody.